So, the WolfQuest Saga has been in public beta for about 10 days now. A lot of people playing it, a lot of feedback, a lot of bug reports, and we appreciate all of that. So I thought for this devblog, I'd take a look behind the scenes here at our bugs board. Did this after the initial release of Anniversary Edition 2019. Seems time to do another one. We have been getting a lot of feedback and bug reports from the Saga. We got probably 2,500 in the first 24 hours, and that has gradually declined, so now it's probably about maybe 1,000 per day. A lot of really critical bugs being reported, very helpful because a lot of these are kind of corner cases, hard to anticipate, and so these reports are extremely useful. A lot of feedback on difficulty, frequency of pup raids, made a lot of tweaks based on those, extremely valuable bits of feedback. All sorts of other kinds of suggestions, some of which we've implemented, some of which we've set aside to look at later once we're through the crunch here. And some were like, oh, that's interesting, but I don't think so. And also a lot of just misunderstandings. A lot of things changed in the Saga, and the About the Saga page of the Game Help has got a lot of words on it, and don't really expect everybody to absorb all that information. So here's just a number of reports that I pulled out just to give an idea of the variety of things we've gotten. So let's see here. Feedback map does not show any loot on the map. Don't know what kind of loot they're looking for, but it's helpful if you don't assume we know what you're talking about when you submit a bug report, and give us some details. Help us understand what you're thinking. So this one needs more information. Okay, just a few ideas I had. These are always fun to read. Some new emote ideas. And porcupines, hello, hilarious. We've actually thought about porcupines numerous times over the years. Maybe someday. Here's a feedback report requesting an option to have bigger packs. I know that some players really want to have bigger packs. We are aiming for about 6 to 9 adults in a pack once you've gone through a couple years, had a couple litters. That's partly for realism. That is what is typical of wolf packs in Yellowstone. If you look up data in the Yellowstone wolf reports, the extremely large packs that occurred 20 years ago or so, like with Druid Peak, they had 3 breeders in that case. It was just after wolf reintroduction, so the population of elk and such had not rebalanced itself. Even Wapiti Lake, more recently, had 2 or 3 breeding females for a while. We're trying to represent the typical experience for wolves in Yellowstone, not the extremes. So this person is like, my computer is really powerful, it can handle bigger packs. That's actually a secondary consideration for why we're aiming for the 6 to 9 adult wolves in a pack size. It's mainly for accuracy. It's also just for game balance. If you have a bigger pack, it just shifts the game balance. It's very hard to keep the level of challenge and such in a good range. It also just gets really crowded around the home site with that many wolves. And the other thing actually is that CPU performance does not scale anything like GPU performance. You get a $1,000 graphics card, you can run incredible graphics compared to a $100 or integrated graphics or something. CPU performance does not scale like that. And so even if we wanted to have bigger packs, this would still become an issue, but we don't want to have bigger packs. So pups age 0. This is in the known wolves panel. It says pups of the year when they're young hunters. They're not a year old yet, so they're age 0. And ideally that would say 6 months or 9 months or something like that. So this is one of those little things we'll get to at some point. Head and neck looks weird when holding something. Could be. It would be great for reports like this if you orient the camera so we can see the wolf's head. And get an idea what's going on. Because often these things that are kind of quirky don't reproduce when we load the save that's included with the report. When a rival wolf is courting one of my offspring, I would like to have the option to kill them. I suppose I can understand the feeling, but no, we're not going there. All right, some of the bugs here. Stuck in survive with family. So this is if all your pups of the year die, you go into a survive quest, and then you just keep playing, keep your pack alive, or whoever's with you. And there's a find a mate subquest. And so they're saying the timer has not moved at all, and the pups have grown 85 pounds to 90 some pounds. And the thing is, this countdown timer does count the game days from that time to when it's too late to find a mate, when breeding season begins. But this is, as you can tell here, this is early spring. And so you've got 10 months. It's going to be a long time. And the timer is moving. It will be moving, but it's only gone 3 days out of 10 months, so not really noticeable. Okay, young hunters, no visited hexes. You got to take your young hunters around to visit 10 border hexes, first of all. But looking at the map, clearly the player is in the middle of their territory, and the requirement is border hexes, so This is one of those things that we'd like to help remind players about. And for some other issues, for example, in Find a Mate, we changed the way you get the most affinity is not from hunting and killing together, but eating together. So we've added some text to the Find a Mate quest text about that. Another example is when you're in a hunt or a fight with young hunter pups, you can woof in their proximity within some meters of them to tell the ones whose health is low to back off. And that wasn't clear to a lot of players, so we added a little corner notification. The first time that happens in any game session, give you a reminder about that. But this is trickier, like how do we remind somebody when they take their pups to a hex that's not a border, that's not a border hex, they're not going to get a paw print for that. It's like not an easy way to do that. So hopefully people will recheck the quest information and realize it. Here's another related thing. Whenever a border hex that you and your pups have previously visited is taken over, there's still a paw print marking it. So they don't really say what they think should happen. I think it's implied they think that paw print should go away, which sounds, we thought about that, but that just sounds really frustrating that as your territory kind of naturally shifts around, and these are the border hexes, so they're the most likely to be lost, that you could get in this sort of endless treadmill, taking the pups around again to get them to some border hexes to replace the ones that have been lost. But then while you're going around, the ones you just marked might be lost. So it does not sound fun. Mate sleeping all the time. There have been a couple bugs, not really bugs, but just quirks where the mate would go to sleep just as some raiders were coming in. We fixed those. This one, my mate is sleeping, used to be more energetic, walking around. You look at the wakefulness, it's empty. So yeah, they will try to sleep whenever they can when wakefulness is empty. So, there is an interesting phenomenon. I have felt this myself. Once you get the idea that there's a lot of bugs happening, that you start to see things that aren't bugs as bugs, and just sort of automatically, that's your interpretation, that's your assumption. I've fallen victim to that myself. Sent stuff to Tommy to say, hey, fix this. He's like, it can happen to anybody. All of your bugs, glitches, and crashes will be removed, and Original and Saga will be fixed. Definitely. And here we go. This really kind of puzzled me. Pups are inside the den and will not come out no matter how much I call them out. So I'm like, that's weird. So I'm kind of being glib about these. I will admit. We do a first scan, triage of the reports when they come in. And then if anything really looks like, ooh, this looks like a bug, we'll load the save, check it out. Often we can't reproduce it. That's frustrating. Sometimes things just get in a state in the game that aren't preserved in the game save. But often we can reproduce it. And then I pass it along to whoever on our team is best suited to deal with it. So this one I thought, that sounds bad. So I loaded it up. Here we go. Squeaking. Move a little closer. Squeaking. Nobody is coming out. So this is super weird. So finally I checked the map. And yeah, that's not my den. But who amongst us has not come back from a night on the town and gone up to the wrong house? Anyways, that's a sampling of the reports we've gotten in the past 10 days. Not a representative sample. I picked the ones that I thought were a little more interesting than just, here's a bad bug, we got to fix this. But it gives you an idea. And keep them coming. We've been doing beta builds once or twice a day. And almost all the bugs fixed in these patches and many of the improvements are from your bug reports. So yeah, thanks, and keep them coming. They are critical to our development, and we are making good progress with the saga. And it shouldn't be terribly long before we get it out there in full release.